RuneScape 3 Leagues is coming out later on this year, and we're going to go ahead and continue our series here where we're breaking down each and every single region so we can better understand what's inside each of these regions for when we make our region selections for this upcoming league. Previously, we've covered the Misthalin region, and today we're going to be jumping into KARAMJA, both of which are free and automatic unlocks. So everybody who plays leagues is going to have access to KARAMJA as well as Misthalin. And when it comes to differences between old school RuneScape and RuneScape 3, KARAMJA is probably the region with the least amount of differences. So if you're coming over to RuneScape from old school RuneScape and you're going to jump in on this league, KARAMJA is really going to feel like home to you, not much different here. So today's video should be pretty simple and pretty straightforward. Starting off on the mainland, the really only main difference you're going to be looking at here is the divination training spot on KARAMJA. You're going to be able to collect gleaming wisps here, which requires level 50 divination. So I anticipate there's actually going to be a lot of people training here, especially depending on what your other region choices are. With these divination spots scattered all throughout the map, it's really going to be up in the air whether or not you have a good training spot. So at least we can bank on having this level 50 training spot coming in. But aside from that, the mainland here on KARAMJA is essentially the same as old school RuneScape. You also have a bit of a summoning slash hunting activity that you can do where you can trap geckos at level 27 hunter and level 10 summoning, as well as monkeys at level 27 hunter and 95 summoning. This summoning activity really is niche and not very useful though. So I actually want to move on and talk about the Karazi jungle because there's something called the Herblore habitat over here in RuneScape 3, which is a bit of a mini game that is going to help you train a bit of some hunter experience as well as some Herblore experience as well. I'm not going to break down the in-depth guide to this mini game here. However, I do want to point out that it does exist and could possibly, with the league's experience boost, be a decent way at training multiple skills at once. But I want to shift gears here and move underground in KARAMJA and talk a bit about the Czar City as well as the Brimhaven dungeon. Starting off with the Czar City, this is more or less exactly the same as it is in old school RuneScape. Structured slightly differently, but at its core, it's really the same place here. You've got your fight cave where you can take on Jad, as well as the fight kiln, which is basically a inferno boss fight, but inside of RuneScape 3, where you're going to be rewarded with either an uncut onyx or an infernal cape. Essentially, there's 4 different versions of these capes. So instead of it being a melee inferno cape, you have your melee, mage, range, and then necromancy infernal capes that you can get from here. I'm not sure if this is best in slot in RuneScape 3, but I know it's pretty high up there. And that just leaves us with the Brimhaven dungeon that I want to break down, which again is incredibly similar to the old school RuneScape version. The only main difference here is that you're also going to be able to find mithril and adamant dragons inside of this dungeon. These adamant and mithril dragons are actually inside of a resource dungeon that's found within the Brimhaven dungeon, and you're going to need a dungeoneering level of 80 or higher to enter this resource dungeon. So it's still up in the air as to whether or not Daemonheim is going to be unlocked as an automatic region, similar to the way old school RuneScape unlocks the Fossil Island. And there's actually a Fossil Island in RuneScape 3 as well, which could be a part of the automatic unlocks, and they might tie Daemonheim to the wilderness. I don't know exactly how this is going to work out. It's still up in the air. Let me know down in the comments if you guys know. I know some people are speculating that they may not even have any sort of region restrictions for the very first RuneScape League. Honestly, with the way RuneScape 3 works out and how its skills get spread from region to region and almost get locked behind specific regions, that almost makes sense. However, regions being locked is a big part of leagues, that restricted gameplay where your choices that you make actually matter towards what you can accomplish in the game. So hopefully they figure out a way to have the region restrictions work, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if they actually just pushed through a 0 region lock restriction league here, especially for the first one. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. But like I said, KARAMJA is basically the same in RuneScape 3 as it is in old school RuneScape. Keep an eye out on the channel because we still have like 6 or 7 of these regions that we need to break down. 6 left on the mainland, and then Fossil Island or Anachronia to cover as well, which is possibly another free region, but also wildly different than Fossil Island over in old school RuneScape. So we're just getting started here. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and if you guys have any regions that you have already locked in that you want to unlock. But other than that, that's all I wanted to break down today. I hope you guys all have an amazing day. I'm out.